get this money from? Money. Man. Money. Money.
What is up, Innovation family? How you guys doing today? It's me, Brandon, your friend, your neighbor, your host, back with another video from Innovation Property Atlanta. Before we jump to today's quick reaction video, guys, remember to like my channel, like this video, subscribe to my channel, refer me out to anybody you know is interested in learn more about Turo rental cars, side hustles, and ways we all can make money together. Today's reaction video is from somebody I watch on a regular basis. I give my flowers to, as she's one of the OGs in this Turo game and one of the highest or best YouTubers out there when it comes to subscribers and content is Aubrey and her husband HP. Shout out to those guys. Like I said, big fans. I want to do a reaction video to her latest video, how she has grown her Turo rental car fleet to 30 cars. And I'm sure she's probably going to drop some hints and gems and how you guys can get started and grow your fleet. So, excuse me, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Aubrey's YouTube video.
Purchased my 30th Turo car. And so in this video, I'm going to break down how my husband HP and I manage our car sharing fleet. And I'm also going to be talking about some of the key steps and components that have allowed for us to scale our fleet over the last 6 years. But before we dive into that, Christmas is here, and what better way to treat yourself than starting your very own peer-to-peer car sharing business? From December 14th to December 25th, you can get $150 off the car sharing masterclass by using the code Christmas150. The car sharing masterclass is an extensive 7-hour course that teaches you everything you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing business with the same business model that I've used. Over the last 6 years, I've grown my fleet to nearly 30 cars that generate anywhere between $25,000 and $30,000 each and every month. And with the car sharing masterclass, I teach you how to do the same. Throughout the course, we'll go over everything you need to know, from how to buy cars, how to determine which cars are the right ones to buy, what to avoid when purchasing.
So real quick, I know Aubrey's doing an infomercial talking about her course, but I had a video probably about 3 or 4 months now ago where I created talking about how important mentorship is. Do not discount the fact you are getting, especially with her course and my course also, you're getting a lot of good information for a very low price. I think her course might be $500, $400. That is that's a small fraction or a small cost compared to what you're going to get with all that information, guys. So I know she's doing her infomercial right now, giving you guys a discount for her class, but do not discount the information you get in that class, and mentorship is so important.
Cars, key exchanges, communicating with guests, how to automate your business to make it semi-passive, how to navigate insurance, protection packages, damage claims. In fact, I am so confident with the quality of education that you'll receive with the car sharing masterclass that we also offer a robust, no questions asked, money back guarantee at no risk to you. So if you want to start your car sharing side hustle in 2024 and you want to lock in your spot into the car sharing masterclass at a discounted price, then be sure to use the code Christmas150 before December 25th and you can get $150 off your purchase. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Aubrey Janik and I have a Turo fleet of nearly 30 cars. I've been on the Turo platform since 2017 and I'm nearing 5,000 trips on the Turo platform. Over the years, I've been creating content here on YouTube talking about how to grow, start, scale a car sharing fleet with the same business model that I've had for years. Now on to how I manage my fleet and some of the key components to my success on Turo. First is remote key exchanges. Now this is a topic that I talk about a lot on my channel and it's a hill that I will very happily die on. If you are a Turo host and you're not doing remote key exchanges, you are missing out. It's as simple as that. Remote key exchanges are when you place a lockbox at the vehicle and you give the guest pickup instructions, and once they follow those instructions, you give them access to the car via a lockbox. The alternative option to this is meeting your guest in person, giving them a tour of the vehicle, verifying their license in person, and then sending them on their way. The problem about in-person key exchanges is that whenever you meet a guest in person, you're at the mercy of their schedule and of their timing. And the reality is, guests are late all the time, they're early, they have weird schedules, they're unresponsive, they extend, they like to pick up at odd times. And when all of these different instances occur, you are at the mercy of their schedule and of their timing. And whenever you do in-person key exchanges, you have to base your schedule off of all of these different factors. And not only does that create a huge inconvenience to you, but it also can limit your pool of.
She is on the money. Another good tip. As I talked about in my previous video with Raph as far as being on the lock boxes. Remote unlock is so clutch when you're running a Turo business. It just is. You don't want to wait around for clients, wait for pickups, drop offs, or any of that. You want to make this as seamless and automated as possible.
Renters that are renting your cars, and it can limit your revenue. But if you do remote key exchanges, none of those other previously mentioned factors really matter at all. With remote key exchanges, guests can be late, they can be early, they can change their plans, they can rent a car at 10 p.m. or at 5 a.m. Regardless of the scenario, it doesn't affect your schedule one bit. Utilizing remote key exchanges has been crucial to not only allow for me to grow my Turo fleet, but to also grow my other businesses as well. And I am such a firm believer that if you want longevity on Turo, remote key exchanges is without a doubt the way to go. I have nearly a dozen projects going on at any given time between content creation and social media, my consulting job, real estate, our Turo fleet, and there is no way that I would ever be able to accomplish all that I've accomplished over the last few years if I was meeting every single guest in person. It would just be impossible. Remote key exchanges has been the absolute foundation to my success on Turo, and if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend that you do. On that note, the next topic that I want to talk about is side hustles or having other jobs in conjunction with running a Turo fleet. This is also a topic that I've talked about in other videos, but one of the big reasons why I've been able to grow my fleet to nearly 30 cars without accumulating any real debt. I've talked about this in previous videos, but one of the big reasons why I've been able to grow my fleet to 30 cars without taking any debt, with the exception of my recent purchase, which was a Lincoln Navigator L, is because of the fact that I never quit my day job. I think that sometimes people have a tendency to quit their day job too early in order to pursue a side hustle full time. I grew my Turo fleet whenever I had a consulting job and whenever I was working as a freelancer. I then continued to grow it after I quit my freelancing job and decided to pursue YouTube. All the while, I still had my consulting job, and even today, I still don't rely on Turo for 100% of my income. And truthfully, I probably never will. The first few years of us starting on Turo, we reinvested every single dollar that we made back into the Turo business. In fact, it was fairly common for us to pull our money that we made through our job or through other side hustles in order to buy more cars in cash. And a big reason why we were able to comfortably accomplish this is because we weren't using Turo and our income that we made from Turo to live off of. I think if you quit your job too early, you run the risk of taking money from the business too early, and thus you're hindering your ability to grow very early on. For this reason, I would encourage any new Turo host to keep your job in the beginning and don't get too ahead of yourself and quit your day job right as you begin to gain traction with Turo. Another key component to our success on Turo has been the ability to work on our own cars. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a mechanic or that you even have to be willing to actually do the work on your cars. In fact, I hear this all the time. You're just successful on Turo because your husband is good at working on cars. But many people don't know that I started Turo after my husband HP and I had only been dating for a couple. He had a full-time job.
And what's wrong with that? Again, people have to understand what goes to running a Turo business. The more money you can save by doing your own work, doing your own marketing, being your own mechanic, buying your own parts, the more you're going to make as far as profit. You have to understand this is a business. So you should never look at it as being a negative thing. And also doing your own work is going to save you probably time, and also you can figure out how to fix other cars in the future too. So you become multifaceted as far as your skill set. So that's just hate whoever says that you're only successful because your husband works on cars. That's a great thing. That's not a bad thing.
He was not actively involved in the fleet. In fact, he was adamantly against it because he hated the idea of me renting out my personal car. And so when I first got started with Turo, while I did have HP as a resource, he wasn't actively involved in the fleet at that time, or at least not nearly as much as he is today. And the reality is I had to learn about cars, and I feel incredibly strongly about the fact that if you're somebody who's wanting to have success on Turo and with car sharing, you have to have a willingness to learn about cars. Even if you don't want to actually be the one wrenching on your vehicles, you need to be open to learning about cars because you want to be able to recognize whenever an issue is arising with the vehicles that you own, or be able to recognize whenever preventative maintenance is due, when an issue has popped up and what could be causing that issue. And of course, you want to be able to navigate car shops and mechanics. Sure, I don't know how to replace suspension components on my cars, but I do know what it sounds like when suspension components need to be replaced. And I don't know how to replace motor mounts, but I do know what the signs are when motor mounts also need to be replaced. Aside from basic oil changes and brake jobs, I don't know how to do intense mechanical work on cars, but I do know how to diagnose basic issues with cars, and I also know my way around cars enough to where I could call out a sleep if they were to quote me for something ridiculous. Obviously, not really an issue I run into since HP handles most of the mechanical stuff with their cars, but I could deal with it if I absolutely had to. Like anything, you want to be well educated in the line of work that you're in, and car sharing is absolutely no different. Not feeling comfortable to work on your own cars whenever they're being rented out, that's a valid feeling, but that doesn't give you an excuse to not learn about cars. At the end of the day, the best Turo hosts that I know are the ones that know their way around a vehicle, they know how to at least fix basic items, and they at the very least know how to diagnose an issue when one comes up. On a similar topic of keeping your day job, another component that's been important to HP and I is keeping overhead as low as possible. In fact, it's been so important to us that as we grow out of our home garage, we're having a really hard time committing to a commercial space for our shop and rental operation. But it does look like 2024 may actually be the year that we make our leap. I think with any business, it can be really easy to get ahead of yourself and say, okay, I'm making money today. It's time to go invest into a lot or a shop or an office. And truthfully, I think the idea here is great. I mean, who doesn't want a badass shop to work out of? But the reality is, this is a money suck. HP and I made the decision in 2021 that instead of us spending anywhere between $3 to $5 grand a month renting out a shop, we would turn our home garage into a shop. And this has served us extremely well. And just now at 30 cars, 33 if you include our personal vehicles, we are finally starting to feel like we're outgrowing our space. So the point is, pay attention to your overhead. Don't buy a shop or a space sooner than you need to. Don't hire an employee earlier than makes sense. And when making big financial decisions and investments, ask yourself the question of, will this investment allow for me to make more money? If the answer is yes, then it probably makes sense to move forward. But if the answer is no, then it is a hard pass. With Turo, you don't need a shop whenever you're first starting out. You just don't. We do everything with our cars in our house, to mechanical work, replacing body panels, body work. We've even painted a car in our garage. In fact, we've done it 3 times. We've pushed the limits of what a small residential 2-car garage can do. And at the end of the day, I'm extremely happy that we've done that because it saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last few years in what would have been paid in rent. And by saving that money, we have been able to continue to grow relatively debt-free. And finally, the biggest component to HP and I's success on Turo has been learning how to navigate depreciation and buying cars below market value. This component is absolutely crucial, and it's something that you must understand if you want to have longevity on Turo. Now, I have a full-length video planned for January that's going to be diving into this topic in extreme depth. So for this video, I'm going to keep it relatively surface level. But I get asked all the time, how do I take into account depreciation with my cars? And the answer is, I really don't. And people always think I'm lying. The reality is my cars don't really depreciate. And what this means is I can buy a car, I can list a car on Turo, have it active on the Turo platform for a number of years where it's generating the income. And then if that car is in an accident, if it gets totaled, if it needs to be sold, I can get rid of that car and get paid the same price I paid for that car, if not more. This means that throughout the duration of ownership for this vehicle, this car has cost me nothing, but it's been generating income.
All right, guys. So just let me put a final touch on it. So again, shout out to Aubrey, one of the best to do it so far in the Turo game, and she showed her strategy and how she's able to make money. So again, just a quick recap. She talks about basics of how she buys cars really cheap, mostly economy cars, does a lot of her mechanical work, able to save money as far as overhead by having a shop at her house and turning her garage into like a mechanical shop. And also, utilizing her resources, being her husband is able to work on the vehicles, and she does a phenomenal job as far as her YouTube videos and her course to get her information and knowledge and her company out there too, guys. So again, shout out to Aubrey and HP to do an amazing job. Just want to do a quick reaction video to her new video. You guys tap into the next reaction video, and then we'll go from there. You guys have a great day.
Never been so lucky, I can have it all. Can I simply ask you where you get this money from?